A lot of buzz out there again today over a leading candidate to replace Chuck Hagel at the Pentagon. Ashton Carter, former Harvard professor, Rhodes Scholar, said to be at the top of the list for the president's choice. He's getting support from both sides of the aisle. And we welcome Democrat Adam Smith from Washington, ranking Democrat of the House Armed Services Committee. How are you, sir? And welcome back here to America's Newsroom. What's the holdup here? I mean, rumor after rumor. Why has it not just happened?
I don't know for sure. I'm sure they're, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, checking to make sure, talking to all the national security folks over in the White House. But I think Ash Carter would be an outstanding selection. He was very good as the Deputy Secretary of Defense, worked well with Congress, and had an opinion of his own. Worked well with the White House, but was not afraid to disagree with them where he thought it was appropriate to, I think, spur the type of robust discussion that we need in national security policy.
Not to get ahead of this story, but I'm wondering now, will it happen?
Yeah, you never know. It's a very difficult and demanding job. And the question is whether or not Dr. Carter, is this something he wants to do? I mean, when you're over at the Pentagon, when he was Deputy Secretary of Defense, we're talking 16, 18-hour days, high-pressure, high-stress job. Does it fit in his life right now? I don't know the answer to that question. So that could be some of the conversation.
Yeah,
I hope he takes it.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
I know you're a supporter, and we've heard from a lot of people who say his record stands for itself.
Yes.
4 defense secretaries in 6 years. What's going on there?
Well, I think part of it was just sort of a unique circumstance. First of all, I mean, Bob Gates had said that he didn't want to go past the George W. Bush administration. But the president made what I thought was a wise decision, given the situations we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, to go for continuity. So Bob Gates said, look, I'll do it, but there's a finite timeline. And the same with Leon Panetta coming over from the CIA. Leon, over 70 years old when he took the defense job. So he was taking it on a short-term basis as well.
But do you think the problem is with the commander-in-chief and not the secretaries themselves?
Well, in those 2 instances, I don't think the problem was with either one of them. I think those were 2 people who said, look, we've got a short timeline. I can do this for a couple of years, just given where they were at in their life. Now, obviously, there was a conflict between Secretary Hagel and the president. And look, I'll also say I have long felt that the White House on the national security front needs to be more inclusive, not just with the Pentagon, but also with Congress. It can be frustrating working with them to try to advance national security policy because they have a pretty small circle over in the White House. And I think that was part of Chuck Hagel's frustration. I know it's part of my frustration.
Yeah, the critics would argue that what the White House really wants is a yes man in that role. You agree?
Well, I think it's less of that than they don't consult enough with the Pentagon. I don't know, yes man. I don't know that that's the focus. I just think they don't have a broad enough circle of people who they bring in, and then someone like Chuck Hagel gets frustrated with not being really included in the discussion.
But as you rightly point out, having that small circle can lead to problems.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I have said many, many times, both publicly and directly to the White House, that they need to reach out and expand that circle. Now, I don't agree with the notion that a president should always do what the generals say. We have civilian leadership of the military for a reason. Generals being generals will almost always say, give me a little bit more money and a few more troops and I can do anything. And I think it's up to the president to exercise that civilian control of the military, but to make sure that we don't overdo it.
Bringing in other people into that circle, you don't see that changing, do you?
I don't. No.
And what's that tell us?
It's unfortunate, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope, if Ash Carter gets the job and as we expand and, we are about to pass the National Defense Authorizing Act, which will have the train and equip mission for Syria and Iraq in it, which is something that we did work closely with the White House on. We have worked closely with them on negotiations with Iran over the nuclear deal. So, I will be somewhat hopeful that they will expand that.
Yeah, the reason why that's so critical is because it's such a critical time in our nation, our world's history. And America, you would think, deserves better. And perhaps the
Yeah,
people of the
well,
world and the wars that we are still fighting today deserve better.
Yeah, well, it's not so much a matter of better or worse. I think what the White House would tell you is, you expand the circle, and there are difficulties that come with that as well. Things get leaked, people have, contradictory opinions, everybody's not on the same page. I think the White House feels this is the best way to conduct national security and foreign policy. I personally disagree. I think they should broaden the circle. But they're certainly doing what they think is best for national security policy.
Really appreciate you coming on today, okay? Adam Smith, Democrat from the state of Washington. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.